Winter driving in an electric vehicle. Is it a nightmare or is it totally manageable? After months of freezing temperatures, snowstorms, and sub zero mornings, I've learned a lot. Some things surprised me, and others, well, they were a bit of a wake up call. If you're thinking about driving an EV in the winter or just curious how they really perform in the cold, this video is for you. Today, I'm sharing the top 5 things I learned after driving my EV in some of the harshest winter conditions. Let's get into it. Hi, my name is Mike. I'm from Greenway Electric, and I've been driving electric vehicles since 2013, and I wanted to share some of my experiences with you. So the first thing I learned after driving an electric vehicle in the winter is the range does decrease, and it can decrease by quite a bit depending on how cold the temperature is. So if you're driving in mild temperatures, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 degrees Celsius, it really won't make too much of an impact on your driving range. But if you start to go driving in Canadian winter, minus 30 degrees Celsius, minus 22 Fahrenheit, that's really going to decrease your range. It's going to be at least 25%, maybe even high as 40% or 50%, depending on the type of driving you're doing. So it's not a surprise that it's going down. We do know that it's going to be decreasing in the winter. It's just a matter of planning around it and knowing that your range is going to be decreasing. For me personally, I never do any road trips in the winter anyway, so it's not really a problem. I have plenty of range to do my daily chores and errands, get back and forth to work, and go back and forth to the store. I'm never really driving more than 100 to 150 kilometers per day in the winter. But if you wanted to drive further, you'd have to do a little bit more planning to make sure there are charging stations available for you along your journey if you're going to be doing any kind of road trips in the winter, especially during really cold weather. The other thing that will really drain your battery is doing highway driving in the summer or winter, but especially in the winter. So if you are doing a lot of highway driving in the winter, that's going to be especially a range dropping for your vehicle. So you just want to make sure to plan that out in advance. The second thing I learned about driving an electric vehicle in the winter is preheating is super awesome for a lot of different reasons. One is my comfort. I can preheat the car. I can either program it on the dash or I can use the app to start the car warming up, and it will be nice and toasty warm by the time I get into it. The other good thing is with my gas car, I had to open the garage door or leave it outside if I was going to be starting it because I didn't want to leave the carbon dioxide in the garage in an enclosed space. But with the EV, you can preheat it while it is in the garage in an enclosed space, and you're not going to have any risk of any hazardous or poisonous gas. In addition, what will happen is the car is going to be pulling power from your wall socket or your wall outlet primarily first to heat up the car. So you're likely going to be leaving with a full or almost full battery. I say almost full because sometimes if it's super cold, it may not, your charging station may not have enough power to even power the heater on the car. Sometimes the car can pull 5 or 6 kilowatts of power depending on how cold it is, and your charging station might not provide that much, and it might pull some power from the battery. But overall, though, you'll get into a comfortable car and it'll be preheated and you'll have a higher charge level. It's going to be a lot better on the range of the vehicle when you're preheating it while it's plugged in so it can continue to charge versus just jumping in and going. It's going to have to pull all the power from the battery to heat up the car. Also, conveniently, it's also going to allow you to avoid having to scrape the windows or clearing the snow off, depending on how much snow or scraping there was available or having to be done. So that makes your job easier as well. You can just hop in and unplug and go. The third thing I learned once I got an electric vehicle in the winter is that charging in the winter can take longer. And now, if you are like me and you come home every day and you just plug it in when you get home, it's going to be fully charged by the morning. I'm at home for 10 to 12 hours per night, so it's really not a big deal. But if you're planning to do some charging as you're out on the road, or if you're doing a road trip or DC level 3 fast charging, the colder battery is going to be slower to recharge. So what you'll want to do is consider the temperature of your battery. Some cars have the ability to preheat or precondition the battery before it goes to the fast charging station. For example, on the Tesla, if you tell the navigation system to navigate to the supercharger, it's going to know where it's going, and it's going to know that you're going to want to have a fast charge, and it will precondition the battery. In other words, it's going to use some power to heat up the battery so that it will accept a quicker charge faster. Other cars have the ability to just simply flip an option on the dash or on in the instrument cluster for you to preheat the battery. Every car is going to be slightly different in this regard, but if you can preheat the battery before you're doing a level 3 DC fast charge, that will save you time. However, or the other thing that will happen is as you drive the car, that will also cause the battery to heat up. So if you're just driving, going about your daily routine, and you're not doing a road trip and you're just going to be heading home at the end of the day, I probably wouldn't worry too much about preheating the battery, because by the time you get home, you'll have been driving around a bit. There'll be a little bit of heat in the battery, maybe not too much, but when you get home, you can plug it in, and even if it spends 15-20 minutes or half an hour doing some heating of the battery while it's charging, you're not going to notice because it's still going to be fully charged by the morning. The next thing I learned after driving an EV in the winter is winter tires can make a huge difference. The electric vehicles are heavier than your average other vehicles, so there is more mass there to move. And with the winter tires, you're going to be getting a lot better grip for you to accelerate and decelerate. So that's another reason to use winter tires. You can also, for some cars, adjust your regenerative braking so that it will be more or less aggressive depending on the situation. And the other thing is the EV does have a low center of gravity, so it's a vehicle for driving in the winter. It's very safe. And if it is equipped with winter tires, it really is an excellent winter vehicle. The fifth thing I learned is to make sure to plug in your car at the end of the day when you are done your driving. With electric vehicles, some of them, and you'll see some tests I've done on this channel here. I can leave a link below to my Tesla test. I left it out for 2 weeks. My Tesla test, I left it out for 8 days, just unplugged, to see how much battery loss would occur when it was left outside in really cold temperatures. Also, I left a Nissan Leaf outside for a couple of weeks as well, and in both cases the cars did lose did lose some of their battery charge because they used some of their power to heat up the battery to keep the battery warm enough so there was no damage occurring to the car. So if you are parking your car overnight in extremely cold temperatures, I highly recommend that you plug it in. Additionally, once you arrive home or you arrive to your destination at the end of the day, I do recommend plugging in right away, because at that point the battery will be its warmest and it will accept the charge the quickest. So if you waited overnight and you decide, well, I'll just charge it in the morning, I would suggest not doing that, because by the time you get to the morning, the battery will have had 10 to 12 to 15 hours to cool down, and it may be very cold, and it will be much slower to accept the charge. So if you have the choice of supercharging or fast charging tonight or waiting till the morning, you should always charge tonight and leave it with a high state of charge before you go to sleep, so that when you wake up in the morning, you're set and ready to go, and you're not having to wait for your battery to warm up in order to charge it. So after driving EVs in the winter since 2013, would I continue doing it? Absolutely. Knowing what to expect and how to manage the cold makes all the difference. If you're thinking about getting an EV or already have one, hopefully these tips help you stay prepared and avoid any surprises. What's been your experience driving an EV in the winter? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more real-world EV content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.